And we're back with more News Talk Saga 960. Mark Petrone with you. So very glad you could join me on this edition of the Mark Petrone Show. Well, how ugly will the CPC, the Conservative Party of Canada leadership race, get? I've been watching these races for a lot of years, and I have to say that this is about as ugly as I've ever seen it get. I mean, you have candidates openly calling each other traitors, liars, maybe not traitors, but liars, saying that they are not obeying the law, lawbreakers, essentially. The other part of the question that I'm asking here is, are you okay with that? I happen to like a pretty good show, so I don't like boring politics. So personally, I'm okay with it from that vantage point. But frankly, I also approve of the fact that these guys are dropping the gloves. I want to see them go at it. I want to see an open battle. All right. I want to see a battle royale between the candidates. I know that there's been a number of people coming out and saying, well, no, you can't do that. It'll wreck the party. It'll cause deep divisions in the Conservative Party of Canada, one that they may never recover from. But I disagree. The other thing I want to add to it is, where did it start? How did this acrimony? Okay, I don't think there was ever a point in which these guys were playing by, the Marquess of Queensberry rules here. But I'm going to suggest that there was a point where this got, I want to say, started. I think that Jean Charest really got the party started, from my vantage point, when he gave this interview with Evan Solomon over at CTV. Let's listen.
He's attracting big crowds, sir. Like, I'm telling you, you're seeing 1,000 people there, and I've seen some of your crowds, 500 in Quebec, but smaller crowds. He's got momentum. He's talking about axing carbon price, cutting things, getting rid of the gatekeepers. Now you've become very much more openly critical of him. Now you're here in Ottawa, specifically about his support of the truckers.
Yes.
Why?
Not support of a blockade. I mean, what
he says, he supports freedom.
No.
He says he supports freedom.
Excuse me. I mean, were you mistaken? I mean, he actually didn't support the blockade.
All right, so he's getting annoyed here, but he admits that he supported the truckers. But I think they're arguing semantics here. One says, yeah, I supported the truckers. This guy's saying he supported the blockade. Well, this was a peaceful protest by the vast majority of those who participated in the convoy. But let's listen to the rest of this.
What you saw, what he did was
he was out there. He was out there with the truckers.
You sound like you drank the Kool-Aid here.
No, he was out there with the truckers.
So he's getting annoyed.
Evan, everyone knows that Pierre Poilievre supported the blockade. And I don't care how much spin you put into it. Here is someone who makes laws and says, I can break laws because I'm above the law. Well, I'm sorry. If you want to be a leader of a party, if you want to sit in the House of Commons and make laws, you have to obey them. The laws of the land are not a buffet table.
And then he says
you choose what you want or do not want to support. And if you say to Canadians, I want to be the leader of the Conservative Party and I want to be the chief legislator of the country, but I don't have to obey the laws, I'm sorry. That's not just a failure in leadership. It disqualifies you, as far as I'm concerned, as being someone who thinks or aspires to be a leader of a party.
Okay, so Charest is actually saying here, and it came up during the last debate, that Poilievre shouldn't even be part of the race, that he should be thrown out, that he should not even be allowed to run for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada, all because he decided to support the truckers. So to me, that started it. Okay, that to me sent a signal that, well, you know what? We're going to do whatever it takes to win. And if that means smearing the other guy, then so be it. Do you remember a movie called Gangs of New York? All right, there was a movie called Gangs of New York, and in that there was a particular scene in which the main, not the main actor, but the other guy. Okay, he actually had a line there that really reminds me very much of what's going on here. We'll settle it with a good dust up. Okay, that to me was the statement that was made, and to me, that goes a long way towards what I think is going to come out of this, right? it'll come down to, we'll settle it with a good dust up. That's why I'm okay with these guys going at it hammer and tong. We've got a comment here. All right, so this is Jerome Hildebrand saying, replies are always 2 minutes behind, so forgive my delayed comment, but the CPC is already destroyed. We have no conserving party, but the PPC. All right, so what Jerome is suggesting is that maybe this is a good thing if you're a member of the People's Party of Canada. I would suggest that it's actually not a bad thing if you're a conservative, because I think have something where they clear the air. I think you just go at each other hammer and tong, and at the end of it, whatever happens, happens. And so, unfortunately now, or fortunately, whatever your perspective happens to be, they are really going at each other hammer and tong. And there's all sorts of examples of that. We've got Pierre Poilievre. Let's share this screen here. This is Pierre Poilievre saying, he's talking about Patrick Brown here. And he says, Brown says he fought the COVID lockdowns. That is a lie, according to Pierre Poilievre. In fact, he locked down Brampton kids from arenas, harming mental health, then snuck in and played hockey with cronies. He was a regular, his hockey bag was already there waiting for him. You can't believe a word he says. Okay, so this was a story that came out quite a while ago, and it's being resurrected here by Pierre Poilievre, saying you can't trust the guy because of that particular incident. We've seen the attacks on Pierre Poilievre over the Bitcoin stuff. Are you buying that? Because I think the folks in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia are not. They just had a pretty sizable crowd over there. And I made the point on Twitter that, I think it's not working. That if that was what these people are pushing in terms of having Pierre Poilievre discredited, well, I don't think it's working at all. So we'll have to see what comes out in the end, because I think this is going to get even uglier as we go. We've got Chade coming out and saying it's now been a handful of days since a Canadian party leader was harassed in Peterborough. Where is Pierre Poilievre? Why is he not speaking up and condemning this behavior? Real leaders don't remain silent in this on the safety of Canadians. So here's a case where I guess we're supposed to determine that the fact that Pierre has not come out and said a whole lot about that incident, that somehow he approves of what happened, we don't know. But that's one of the things that they're resorting to. And I don't know, what do you think? Is this something that is bothering you? Patrick Brown came up and posted something as well about Pat King, who was one of the people that was charged. Pat was involved in the convoy. He was charged with mischief, among other things. He was thrown in jail. As far as bail is concerned, I believe he was denied. And so, my understanding is he's not the most likable guy who was involved in that convoy. So, he seems to be a rather controversial figure. But Patrick Brown is trying to lump Pierre Poilievre in with Pat King. So he says, let's see, here is Pat King, a leader of the convoy. And Pierre Poilievre supported it. So spreading dangerous white supremacist jargon, I guess, propaganda, white replacement conspiracy theory, in which reported to have been in the Buffalo Shooters Manifesto. Wow. Check this out now. He says, here's Pat King, a leader of the convoy Pierre Poilievre supported, spreading the dangerous white supremacist, white replacement conspiracy theory. By the way, Leslyn Lewis also supported the convoy, but I guess it doesn't really work if you're going to accuse her of this stuff. Anyway, so the fact that some of this replacement theory was in the Buffalo Shooters Manifesto, somehow is that designed to paint Pierre Poilievre with that same brush? I condemn this hate and call on Pierre to do the same. And then he posted this video of Pat King.
Now, what it is it's the part of the depopulation. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. And what there is there's an end game. It's called depopulation of the Caucasian race or the Anglo-Saxon. And that's what the goal is to depopulate the Anglo-Saxon race because they are the ones with the strongest bloodlines.
All right. Well, that's a lot of racist talk. But, is it fair to lump Pierre Poilievre in with that just because he supported the convoy? To me, it seems like a bit of a stretch there. But Brown seems to be suggesting that if you supported the convoy and this guy King was part of the convoy, then you therefore support King. And since some of this type of talk was also part of the Buffalo shooters mandate, if you want to call it that devastating attack, that there's multiple murders, that somehow there's a link there. Are we supposed to connect the dots from Pierre Poilievre to the shooter in Buffalo? I mean, this is getting bad. And as much as I appreciate a good dust up, I think at some point, there's going to be lawsuits. I mean, there has to be. I mean, I can't see this going in any other direction that people start suing each other. I mean, there were lawsuits in the last leadership race involving Aaron O'Toole and Peter MacKay. And so that got ugly, largely between those two. But that was nothing compared to what we're seeing here. What we're seeing here is like open warfare between these candidates. And as much as I appreciate a good dust up, I'm a little concerned, and I'm wondering how far it'll go. Now, I wanted to talk briefly about this other story that's kind of making the rounds, having to do with the real estate situation in the GTA, which was largely seen as kind of a frothy one for the last few years, at least. Pandemic housing boom now winding down. Economists forecast a 10 to 20% price correction. Are you starting to sense that the real estate industry in the GTA, I mean, and you can certainly make the case elsewhere in Canada, that it's starting to cool off? And, to what degree is that affecting you? I mean, are you holding back right now? Are you starting to maybe sit on the sidelines? I mean, in April, we saw a 27% decline in the sales in the GTA and around a 6% price decline. And now here's the Globe and Mail reporting that Canada's real estate boom is starting to wind down, with national home sales and prices down in April for what could be the start of a meaningful correction in home values. The number of resales fell 12.6% from March 1st to April on a seasonally adjusted basis, a sharper drop than the previous month, with volumes, so this is the national number, not the GTA number, declining in most regions across the country, according to the Canadian Real Estate Association, or CREA. The home prices index, which adjusts for pricing volatility, fell 0.6% to $866,700, still well out of the range out of many Canadians trying to break into the market. This is the first decline since April of 2020, when homeowners struggled to sell their properties amid the economic slowdown. So what do you think? Is that a good thing? Are you applauding the cool off? Does this give you an opportunity maybe to have some hope that somewhere down the road you're going to be able to get in if you're not already into the markets? Got to wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in on this edition of the Mark Petrona Show. Appreciate you doing so. Let's do it again tomorrow, shall we? Bye-bye for now.